Though waiting for a response, Maria makes a disgusted face, shoving something into Christina's arm.
Is it that woman again? I told you she's definitely trouble, but you keep fooling yourself. You've been on the run with her for so long, you should have seen it clearly by now. Is facing the truth that hard for you, Detective? Forget it. Given the situation, you must have your own plans. Anyway, I can't stop you. Here's your stuff. You are in the police academy. Cracked cases. All of this wasn't taught to you hand in hand by her. Without her, you're still a detective. Don't act like a waste. Think about how you were when you first came to my house. You've managed to walk out from there. Now pull yourself together.
Holding the stuff Maria had given her, which included her spear, cane, detective tools, and so on, Christina lifts her head and pulls the hood of the raincoat over her head.
Wrong answer. You should still seek the truth, capture the criminal, and prevent her from hurting anyone else. You're a detective, after all.
Please don't tell me that Shalom also planned this out, because this would be too much. I already told you she was scheming, but I didn't think that this was how it was gonna go. I thought she was gonna go to the MPCC, but this is just insane if she planned this out. How far does she see? She's even more intelligent than fucking Light Yagami and like L at this point. Like, holy shit.
I'm off then. Thank you for coming for me.
He said Public Security Bureau of Special Office. It's a secret cell in Zone W. The garden assassin Thistle, who was in a coma, is awakened by the alarm.
Intrusion warning. Intrusion warning. Zone E2 has been breached. Detainees have escaped. Intrusion warning.
E2. That's not my area. Right. She couldn't possibly still.
As she was thinking, the wall was suddenly smashed open. Thistle's eyes widened. She didn't expect any of her garden partners to act so unruly. The person who stormed in surprised her even more.
Found you.
You!
Without saying another word, Christina swings her cane to break the restraints on Thistle's limbs. The sophisticated lock was unlocked instantly in the face of Detective's violence. Christina grabs Thistle's and thrashes out.
Let me go! What are you trying to do?
Take me to the garden, now.
Go to hell. How could I do that at...
In the past 5 days, news of Kokolik's impending death has been all over the place. Don't be so scared. It's probably a lie to trick you. Haven't you been fooled like this before? I just saw those hush squads leaving fully armed. If you know the way, hurry up and take shortcuts back. If you don't act now, your home will be gone.
Startled by this, Thistle panic grabs Christina's wrist, dodges the sheriff blocking the way, and rushes towards the end of the corridor.
Smash the wall!
The violent detective swings her cane and creates a large hole in the concrete wall. To her surprise, the assassin pulls her and jumps out. This is the height of several stories. Amidst the sound of plummeting wind, the assassin swiftly cuts a shallow wound into her palm. Small injury immediately splits open into a willow leaf-shaped scar, its center glowing like a pupil. Traces of mania rapidly spread along its edges. They should have done a top-down view instead of like a flash of a city. Whatever. Suddenly before their fall, a pitch-black circular hole abruptly opens in midair. The two dive headfirst into it. Christina finally lets out a cry, only found that the sound around her abruptly change. This looks awful. That looks cool. The hustle and bustle of this. You know what reminds me of? This reminds me of an Amnesia one, where the pregnant lady is. We play as the pregnant lady. Yeah, that reminds me of that. The hustle bustle of this city is completely cut off. She finds herself in a dark dome-like space. It's silent and gloomy, as if cut off from the world.
What kind of power is this? Where am I?
Thistle doesn't answer her. Instead, she immediately gets up and pulls Christina away, vigilantly turns back to stare at the solid black circle where they originally were, a flame-like blade forming in her path. First, a string of bullets is fired upwards from below. After a while, something the size of a head barely reveals half of itself from the black hole. Thistle roars and thrusts the flame blade down, pushing the intruder back before it can fully emerge. At the same time, the black circle quickly contracts and completely disappears as if it had never appeared on the ground. Thistle then falls backward, panting heavily, as if everything has finally come to an end. Christina looks around and spots a secluded building in the distance. There are lights on the building, yet it's very quiet, an omen she can't quite decipher.
Quick! Return to the garden!
She gave up her space very quickly.
This is the last base. Registered members of the garden can open the entrance, but it takes a long time to close once it's open, like what just happened. Thank goodness there are a bunch of idiots. If they had thrown a locator in here, I would have...
How do you know that Christina doesn't have a locator on her? I mean, she doesn't. How do you know that? Christina silently supports Thistle, the two of them barely making up a whole healthy person. The sinner help each other towards the distant building. The symbol on Thistle's palm when she opened the entrance is familiar. It's the same symbol that was on the mania bombs in the recent FAC kidnapping incident. The symbol of the underground puppet. Shalom said it was the symbol of the most evil power in the city.
Is this the garden's power?
No. The mentor said it's a reward. The reward for the last commission. She's finally going to have a garden that won't be disturbed by anyone.
In other words, a shelter given to them by the underground. Was that spatial technology just now?
Thinking about these things, the two approach the quiet building. As they get closer, is she not gonna talk to Christina at all about the whole thing? An ominous feeling suddenly arises, stopping all their conversations. As they get closer, they're left dumbfounded. Christina reacts in an instant, giving Thistle an aesthetic to stop her from having a breakdown. Something she stole from the hospital. Christina used it to deal with the guards watching Thistle. There's still some left. Once you get used to being a detective, you learn quite a few tricks for doing bad things yourself too. Okay. Christina moves the unconscious assassin to the side. She turns to face everything in front of her. Her temple throb uncontrollably.
Come on, Chris. This is the primary crime scene. You have to investigate the truth. You must prove it yourself.
Everything seems in chaos. Crime scene of the garden's incident. Oh my man, how long is this? I'm really tired right now. It's been 7 hours of recording, man. The Hush Unit is an elite organization directly under Paradisos. I can't find any more information about it. Shalom seems to be their leader. Are they executing Shalom's order? Further investigation is needed. I must find out why this squad exists in the first place and Shalom's purpose. Fine, whatever. BS305, the fifth scene. The fifth crime scene is at the garden's secret base. The hidden sanctuary for flowers ultimately failed to escape the onslaught of violence. Oh, so they were attacked. Who was that? Someone said go Christ? Like Christina? But like, why was that such a violent tone? The once warm and elegant garden has now been completely destroyed by the violence. The scene is in chaos, with traces of weapons sweeping every corner like a violent storm. The air is filled with the sweet smell of coagulated blood mixed with the dry scent of withered petals, enveloping her in an ominous atmosphere. How did they make their way to the garden, though? Did they have, like, or their leader force a hole open? That wouldn't make any sense. And even if they captured the sinners, did they get the information out of them somehow? I don't know. Investigate the scene. Alright, how about the weapon? Several weapons are haphazardly stuck in the table in the center of the hall. They all look like standard weapons, standard equipment for the garden. Perhaps they tried to get their weapons, but were easily defeated. Beneath the blade, Christina sees a torn piece of paper.